I absolutely love this, as an insider has revealed what's next for the New York Rangers, including bringing in some fresh faces that can help the team win now and moving off of the longest tenured pieces that could free up a ton of salary cap space. We're going to break down how they could do that in this video and who these players are and what they bring to the table. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with the New York Rangers, this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers news. Of course, go down below, hit that free subscribe button, and again, get to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. But let's get right into it. A new article from obviously Brooksy, and a new article from Arthur Staple of The Athletic is suggesting that the Rangers not only have a couple big decisions to make this offseason in terms of draft pick and if they're going to keep it. We covered this the other day as well. But, what they're going to do this offseason in terms of player personnel. And I mean, again, they have a major decision to make here in terms of, are they going to keep that pick? I think you keep it and then you defer next year's. I think they're going to be a better team next year. And again, a lot of people are saying the same thing, including Phil Kosher. But again, back to this report today from Arthur Staple. This is what the ideal offseason for the New York Rangers would look like to him. And a lot of the moves I've talked about before, and there's one in particular we'll get to that I really like. Now, the first two are the obvious ones. Now, this is very, very specific. So Arthur Staple says, trade Chris Kreider to the Columbus Blue Jackets for a pair of third-round picks, which is interesting. Now, I think this is actually a very smart idea because Columbus could use a little bit more veteran presence. They could use a winger as well, so it could work out for them. And the third-round picks, I mean, you're getting 2 third-round picks in return for Chris Kreider, who had a terrible year, yes, probably due to injury. But at the same time, you move off of his $6.5 million cap hit. You free up a ton more salary cap space that you can use this summer because you still need to re-sign, Matt Rempe, Adam Edstrom, which we'll get to in a second in this video as well. And what are you going to do with Keandre Miller? And obviously Will Cooley needs to be signed too. And he's having a fantastic Worlds right now. So he's going to command, a raise, and we'll get to that in a second. But again, the next one would be trade Zibanejad with 20% retained because there's no way somebody's taking on his full contract. And a second-round pick to Chicago for future considerations. This one also makes sense because Chicago needs players. They traded everyone. They have nobody to play with Connor Bedard, so they need to be a little bit deeper. They need to, make a trade here. And I could see them, parting with a second-round pick for a guy who can make a difference in Mika Zibanejad because he can, especially on a team like that. As much as some people might scoff at that, he definitely can. Now, the reason you're moving off both these players is because of the salary cap situation, right? So if you take a look at Chris Kreider, $6.5 million, that would come off the cap. Mika Zibanejad, $8.5 million. Now, Chris Kreider's only signed for the next 2 years, so it's not as egregious, especially because he's obviously, he's dealing with injury last year, but he is 34. He's going to be 35 years old. To me, it seemed like he checked out last year as well mentally, so that's going to be tough to come back from. And then Mika Zibanejad, 8.5 till 2030. That is egregious. You have to do everything in your power to try and get rid of this player because of the salary cap, basically. And you have to retool on the fly. Now, there's a couple options in terms of what the Rangers can do this offseason, and we'll get to who they'll bring in just a second because I absolutely love it. But what they need to do is re-sign Will Cooley. He's a restricted free agent. Now, this says, to a $2.75 million contract. Now, if you take a look at the projections, this is from Scotia Stat Projections for Will Cooley, and again, this is from Scotia Stat Cards, and do a great job with their model of projecting next contracts. And there's a 48% chance, the most likely chance, that Will Cooley actually signs for closer to $4 million or maybe over $4 million. I think it's probably closer to that because if you look at some of the comparables like Cole Perfetti, Gabe Velarde, Martin Necas, right? Like a lot of really good comparables. And I think that he's going to get to a place where he's going to be a very valuable player. I think this can be a 60, 70 point player, maybe even 80 point player if he's playing top line minutes, playing some more special teams as well, like playing in the top 6, because we know that he can. And I think he's only going to get better. I mean, he just turned 23 and he had a career year. He scored 20 goals last year and he brings the boom. He brings that physicality. So I think it's actually going to be a little bit more than that, which again is a bigger reason as to why you probably want to move off some of the contracts that, we just listed in terms of Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. Then Matt Rempe, 1.25 million. I could see that happening. Adam Edstrom, 1 million. I could absolutely see that happening. In terms of, again, we could bring it up in terms of like projections from Scotia Stat projections. When you're looking at Adam Edstrom, the most probable outcome is like less than $1 million at this point, but it's probably going to be $1 million with the salary cap rising. And then we'll get to Adam Gaudette in a second, but he could be an interesting add as well to the team, a $1.2 million cap hit. So again, if you're looking at a couple of those, if you look at Will Cooley, like I mentioned, 45 points, 20 goals this year. He played all 82 games. He's a physical presence. So it could be an interesting option for sure. But in terms of who the Rangers are going to bring in, let's get to that now. And with the remaining salary cap, Arthur Staples suggesting Brock Boeser. And we talked about Brock Boeser. I brought him up weeks ago at this point that he'd be a perfect fit. I absolutely love this. To a 3-year deal worth $6 million per season. And then also sign Adam Gaudette to $2.8 million as well. Now, I absolutely love this. If you look at Brock Boeser, what he did last year, he's had better years. That's for sure. He scored 40 goals before. But if you take a look at what he did last season, he played in 75 games. He had 50 points on a very disappointing Vancouver Canucks team. The other thing is he's not old. He's not in his 30s. He's 28. He just turned 28. This would be getting a young player that can score 40 goals. And if you put him with JT Miller, they can create some magic. I'm telling you. So I absolutely love this move if they were able to bring in Brock Boeser. And if it was for $6 million, man, you do that, I think, tomorrow. Because, again, if you look at some of the projections from Scotia Stats, again, he's projected most likely outcome would be around $8 million. So if you can get him cheaper than that, that's fantastic. Even at $7 million, I think it's worth it for a guy who can score 40 goals. And again, if you put him on the wing, on JT Miller's wing, they can create some magic together. So I absolutely love that move specifically. And then Adam Gaudette, I think, could be an interesting add as well, especially for $3 million. I mean, he's a good bottom six player, had a decent year in Ottawa as well. We can take a look at his stats as well. Only 26 points in 81 games, but this is a guy that, plays the right way, plays hard. And again, this is projected at only 1.2 million. Arthur Staples saying 2.8. Again, with the salary cap going up this much over the next couple of years, like a lot of players are going to be asking for more, and like a $1 million player is going to turn into a $4 million player over the course of the next couple of years. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Rangers do. But man, this would be the perfect offseason for me. If you can move out that salary and then bring in a guy like Brock Boeser, that would completely change the dynamic of the offense. I mean, imagine putting Will Cooley on that line too. That would be one of the toughest lines to play in hockey, I think, on paper at least. So it'd be a lot of fun, but that would definitely be the ideal offseason like Arthur Staple has suggested. And I talked about Brock Boeser weeks ago at this point. I think that you probably target him because you know what? He is going to come in around $6 to $8 million, and you don't want to go after Mitch Marner, who's going to want like $13 million, $14 million and won't be able to win in the playoffs, right? He doesn't play the right way in the playoffs. So Brock Boeser's a guy who shows up in the playoffs. He can score you 40 goals, and if you put him back with JT Miller, man, those two, they can create some magic. So let me know what you think in the comments about possibly signing Brock Boeser this offseason and moving off those contracts. Of course, Chris Kreider is more likely to be traded with his modified no trade list, and Mika Zibanejad has a no move in his contract, so it's going to be harder to move him, obviously. But let me know what you think in the comments because I absolutely love this move. Let me know what you think, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.